Welcome to another exciting episode of Special Report. I'm TruePowerIsMine. Today I have Chris on the line coming in. Chris is a researcher. He's actually on vacation. He's taking time out. I'm very happy for that to actually be on the show. Chris, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here. Good. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm very good today. I just want to go right into it. We were just talking about a couple of things, but I want to talk about this economy. As we all know, 1913 Federal Reserve was enacted, and now it seems like every so often, especially here in the past couple of years, if you've been keeping track of the stock market, there's been a noticeable, like I say, somewhat of a decline. I mean, it has been making some comebacks, but for the most part, it's almost like we're headed for that scientific depression.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's sort of like when we take a look at, the Weimar Republic, Germany prior to World War II, as we all know, the Nazis were quite active prior to the Great Depression. But once the Great Depression hit, and then their words came to be recognized as truthful, that's when they received such a huge explosion of support and all of that. And the only reason why I say this is because we have a group of folks over here in America, or United States rather, that's doing the exact same thing. The alt-right, the cringy conspiracy people, the world's coming to an end, the world's coming to an end. People are laughing at them, but once the depression hits and they're made to be considered truthful or at least insightful, I think they're going to also see a huge increase of support, which is kind of dangerous because some of those groups are not, honestly, they're not racially friendly. They're quite bigoted. They're quite racist and definitely European, Eurocentric.
Definitely, you're right. I mean, it's usually like that. I mean, Hitler did the same thing. They did the same thing with Russia, with Lenin, with the Socialist Workers' Party.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, I'm here for you guys, I'm here for the workers, the everyday man. And then the people get burned in the end. And that's what usually causes all the chaos.
Yes. And it's, I hate cliches, but this is one time the cliche is actually somewhat true. If you don't know the history, then you're destined to repeat it again, right? And that's why I feel that we as a collective, not only do we not know the history, but I feel as if the educational system, the government, private institutions and groups are actively ensuring we don't have the information.
Yeah, because these people, they plan these things out. We're going to put this stimulus into the economy or into society, however you want to term it. Okay, we're looking for this outcome, but if this doesn't happen, these people, they think miles ahead of what we think.
Yes.
Usually people, I usually have to give people this analogy, and I usually use economic terms. A person that's poor try to live day to day, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to make it to the day so I can make it to the next day. People with money, they think 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. They think generations ahead. And that falls in line with politics. So, okay, what can they do for us now? Okay, they're going to change this law, cut the taxes, but in 3 years, they're going to probably raise some other tax. So you're still going to get burned in some way or another.
That is.
We look for immediate gratification, but then you get burned, and it's even worse later on down the road.
And do you think the reason why they're able to do that is because of the wealth that they have amassed? You know what I mean? It's like, honestly, most working class folks, poor folks, don't have the time to sit around and become intellectually astute. They only have time to, go home, grab that sandwich, and get back to work.
Yeah, you're right. But I think a lot of what that is that a lot of times people associate wealth or being rich with intelligence. And most people that have that type of money, that money is passed down from generation to generation. So it's not necessarily their work or their, the legitimacy of their intellect that got them to that point. It was passed down from someone that came before them.
And that's
see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm. Because, and that's the same issue that a lot of, African Black Americans suffer from. The traditional intransigent, like basically suppression other folks, Jim Crow, obviously slavery, all that shit adds up as well. And when we always, look back and we point the finger at the younger black men and, well, oh, you're not doing nothing, you're not doing blah, 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 all this, it's somewhat a lie, because these folks really never had the economic foothold to be able to take a breath, as I like to say, just kick back and relax and try to figure out your spot. But we can't do that because we lack the economic foundation to be able to do that.
You're right. I mean, because if you don't have the means, you can't come to a sustainable end. You got to kind of put along. You hope. I mean, because a lot of times, especially with us black people, I see a lot of times what we do is we'll try to, quote unquote, let's say, get a nice house or get like a nice car.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look at some white folks. What they'll do is, okay, I got a house, the house paid for, but I got like a business. So when I die, my children have a means of income. Because
yes.
At the end of the day, yeah, you can leave your kids a house, but the taxes have to be paid up on that house, and it has to be maintained. I mean, so in essence, you're really just leaving them a bill.
Yes.
But if you don't have that revenue stream, then 9 times out of 10, they're not good with money, especially if they wasn't raised with the money. They're going to end up losing the house at some point. So what are we really doing?
We're just wasting time. We're putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. We're also looking at the victim of this thing and saying, oh, stop being a victim. How can you stop being a victim when the problems that put you into victimhood are never addressed? Never addressed.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I got a gunshot wound, but if you don't address it, take the bullet out, you just keep putting Band-Aids on it.
Yes. And use Band-Aids at that. They're causing secondary infections. You know what I mean? That's why I get so upset.
Yeah. I mean, but, it's crazy, dude. It's like, even like with a lot of us, we don't acknowledge that there is, we think, okay, we had a quote-unquote black president. Black people can, we can run companies now. Yeah, but at the end of the day, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you who came up with a good quote. Are you aware of Dr. John Henry Clark?
Yeah, I know of him. I've heard of him before.
Anyway, he said that one of his sayings is that we as a people, we change our position, but without changing our condition.
Right.
So like, yeah, you might be. It's like if everybody's in prison, the guards let me pick out what we're gonna eat today, but I'm still a prisoner.
And, I mean, it's funny, but that's the state of life many of us are in.
Yeah.
We don't realize that we are actually prisoners of war. And guess what? The war has never come to an end. You know what I mean?
And then you're right. And the sad part is that a lot of white people, what they're gonna have to realize is that you're really in the same boat as blacks, Mexicans, whoever else you consider a minority, which I don't like that term.
Right.
But we're actually in the same boat.
We are.
I mean, but you get this guy to go against this guy, that guy to go against that guy, and at the end of the day, you're not really looking at the guy that's really pulling all the strings. That they has none of our interests at heart. You're just using everybody.
And they're using us, playing us like a damn fiddle. You have white folks where I'm at. You just go a little bit farther out west into the south. You have them out there probably right now freezing their little asses off unless they have a fire going. Primarily they heat with wood out there, no gas. They have electricity obviously, so they probably have a space heater or whatever. But the issue is they can be poor as dirt and still feel as if in some way they're better than the richest black man out here. And that is a mental illness. That is a mental illness because, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, a lot of these folks who are truly running the world, and I mean actually making the moves to bring up or down the stock market, they could give two craps less about the average white man or woman in the world, not just in America, but in the world. These people are on some anti-humanist eugenics nonsense.
Yeah, you're right. They are. I mean, because you could just look back at the old, when they had knights and kings and stuff like that, they had the feudal system where you had the serfs, which are the typical,
European
white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And then
is.
you had like the people like the gentry and like the lords, which are like the people who like the upper management. Then you had the kings and queens. Those are the people who really control everything. I mean, if they
Mhm.
did that with them, I mean, we already know they do that with us.
Yes. And then that little surf guy, once you bring us into the equation, now he just goes a step higher. You know what I mean? He's still on the bottom of
Yeah,
their social hierarchy, but in societal hierarchy, he's just a little bit higher than the average black or Hispanic or Asian or whatnot, non-European. All right. So I
you're
guess
right.
the reason why we say this, because I know a lot of people, they're just acting like victims, blah, 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 blah. I'm not acting like a damn thing. I'm just expressing the truth. And if you can't handle
Yeah,
the truth, then there's something wrong with your perception, not ours.
yeah, because I can tell you about a conversation I had with a guy. It had maybe 10, 15 years ago when I was the manager at the store. Right, the guy, it was a white guy. He was a carpenter. You know, he did a carpentry work.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just have general conversations with him every time he come in the store. Hey man, how you doing? Because sometimes he come there, his mother. I ask him, hey, how your mom doing? You get stuff for your mom today? But anyway, he looked at upside and said, hey man, what's wrong with you? He was like, hey man, I can't get any jobs. He's like, the Mexicans, they're taking all the jobs. I said, hold on for a minute. I was like, the Mexican guy didn't take your job. 9 times out of 10, the guy who hired him was a white guy just like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Mexican guy probably willing to stay longer and probably going to work cheaper than you were. So if the Mexican guy didn't take the job from you, they gave another white man gave him the job. So you don't be mad at the Mexicans, be mad at the white guy who gave him the job instead of giving it to
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. And they don't get it. They don't see it that, they, once again, are still peasants, still serfs. They are still undesirable by the upper echelons of society. And guess what? The upper echelons, if they can make a buck off of another minority or another man, they're going to forsake the so-called white man and go to the other man to make that money. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to stack their paper for their children.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's the way we
And then,
all should understand. Racism's a two-hand part. One, it's an economic thing. And two, it's an actual physical power thing. Meaning that, a person come into your house, basically murder you, and then be like, oh, well, I thought I was in the wrong apartment. hint, hint, the cop down in Texas there. Obviously she was arrested, thank God. But, the problem here, though, is that the perception of black men and women have been so utterly distorted, so twisted by media, and once again, when I remember rap music when it first hit the scene, I was a young man then. All right. And I seen when gangster rap came out. You do realize when gangster rap first came out, the person funding it was not black folks. The person funding
yeah,
it was
right.
not poor white folks. It was rich, white, Jewish folks. That's who was funding that garbage. And they were funding it not because it sounded great, not because it got you up and made you feel a certain type of way. They were funding it to program you to want to kill each other, program us to want to kill our brothers, our sisters, and ourselves. So then that way they don't have to get their hands dirty. See, we have to realize this
Correct.
war is still going on. I was talking to a brother the other day, and you know, we were talking about, when our white people are going to get it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whenever they ask to get it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like James Baldwin said, fire next time in that book, Fire Next Time. It's not a
Yeah.
matter of white folks accepting black folks. It's truly a matter of black folks accepting white folks. Now, you can get carried away with that thought process, but if you keep it in boundaries, what he's ultimately saying is that the real issue, if we want to speak on like a spiritual or karmatic side, the real issue is us being able to accept them for who they are and what they've done to us, not them accepting us for being abused and oppressed and exploited by them. Because we all know the Industrial Revolution would not have occurred if it was not for all the profits that was created during the hundreds of years of slavery.
You're exactly right about that.
And this
We
whole
probably would be in this country right now if it was for that.
no, and there would not be this country. There would not be several, and probably wouldn't have been a couple of world wars either. And that kind of brings me, I want to ask you a question. What's your thoughts on reparations, and how, if you do believe in it, how should it be administered?
I mean, I can understand the concept, but then I have a tendency to look at things with a little bit, a lot like Neely Fuller Jr., with logistics. I mean, with logic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we get the money, right?
Right.
This is two parts. Let me say it like this: it's two parts. Some of us are not conscious of. That's not necessarily like a black thing per se, but it's more like how things really work. Because a lot of us, whether you're black or white, we think, oh, if we get the money, then all our problems. If we get money or we get the college degree, our problems are solved.
Mm.
No, that the world doesn't work like that. And Bill Cosby is the perfect example of that.
Dang.
So what I mean is, okay, they give us the money. First of all, the Federal Reserve dictates inflation, so they're gonna, even though they give us the money, they're gonna dictate what we can get with the money,
Exactly.
and what that money is going to be worth. So if we buy a house, we still have to pay taxes to the same government.
Right.
If you buy the land, so it's just a cycle. It's going right back to the people who got it.
Yes, it is. That's an excellent point.
And then a lot of things, especially with politics, we got the November 6th, we got the elections coming up. Like we can vote, we can have all black president. President can be black. The vice president can be black. The defense secretary, anybody may want to be black. The problem with us as a people is that we got all types of businesses. We got waist trainers, they got lip gloss, designer, this, that, and the third. But if if economically you're not in industries that dictate politics,
right,
you're wasting your time. And when I say things that dictate politics, I mean like into oil, for heavy machinery, earth movement equipment.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't own like container ships that move commerce, if we as a people don't get into that type of ownership, it don't matter who we really vote for, especially on the national level, we're still going to be where we're at.
Right. Now, Chris, don't you think that we have been programmed, whether it be, consciously or subconsciously, not to want to work together, not to want to,
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that goes back to like that crab in the bucket thing. They say,
Yes.
You know how they say it was like, oh, black people all like crabs in the bucket, always pulling each other down. I'd be like, hey, dummy, crabs weren't made to be in a bucket. That's the damn problem. The bucket, not the damn crab.
That is so true. You're supposed to be in the ocean.
Yeah, that goes to that whole blame thing. See, you blaming the crab instead of the crab's circumstance. That's why the crab's acting like that.
Yes, we should be blaming the person that put them in the bucket. You know what I mean?
I was talking to one of my friends. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends. This is a little bit different, but we tend to have higher blood pressure and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, and the people like those Negroes, they always eat pork chops and over seasoning the food. Like no. I mean, that does contribute to it, but it's a little bit more than that.
Right.
When you had all the stresses of life and the things you got to worry about, that stuff leads to high blood pressure too. That's
yes.
Worrying can cause you to have lung cancer. A lot of people don't know that. You just think, just because you smoke cigarettes or whatever. It's a lot of different things that add to this, but they just tell us the things that would allow them to blame. If they start eating all that pork and they start over-seasoning their food, then they wouldn't have high blood pressure. But it's more than that.
It is the stress of life. Like Jane Elliott said, you can take a whole group of white folks, from different social economic backgrounds, even different racial attitudes, right? And you have them in that gymnasium and you ask them one simple question. If you want to be treated like this society treats black folks, please stand up. And I guarantee you that at the end of that question, there'll still be everybody sitting in their seats. If being black is so great, like how, especially when we talk about this football thing, the kneeling, oh, they're rich, they don't have no right to kneel, blah, blah, blah. Well, if it's so great, do you want to be that black football player? And they'll be like, nope. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah,
got to
you're right.
understand they're disingenuous. I mean, I hate to sound like this, but 9 times out of 10, when they're opening their mouths, are just to attack or victim shame. That's all it is. That's all it will ever be.
Yeah, yeah, that is. And then another thing too is a lot of people there, whatever Fox News, MSNBC puts out, oh, that's gospel to them. They don't even,
Question it.
even look into it for themselves.
They don't.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff is no. But go ahead, bro.
But it just goes back to this whole. Listen, we both know, Chris. If me and you was to change our tunes, right, and we was to be black folks need to bootstrap, they need to grab the Bible and love that, and grab Quran and love that. They just need to conform. You know that we would have fucking motherfuckers throwing money our way, putting us up. Look, the new diamond and silk, but the male version, right? That's but that's the problem. As long as you're attacking your own folks, all right, and justifying the powers that are in power now, you're going to be handsomely rewarded. But if you stand on truth and honesty, you're probably going to be ridiculed, maybe even assassinated, and the truth of what you were trying to say probably won't even come out until years after you pass away. Because a lot of people don't realize when Martin Luther King was running around here, a lot of so-called black preachers did not like him. They did not like his message.
Yeah,
all right. But nowadays, everyone's, oh, yeah, we love. It's like, what? What are you talking about? I remember the old stories. I remember you talking crap. And don't even get me started with Brother Malcolm. All right. So the thing I'm ultimately saying, no matter what, guys, everyone hearing this broadcast right now, the power isn't in how much you can basically deceive or misdirect people while you're alive. The power is how much truth are you willing to stand up and say, because the truth will be validated regardless of how many people try to suppress it. Oh, you cannot suppress the truth forever. Yes. And that's what we need to get back to. Instead of this old hocus pocus spooky bullshit that at the core of it is nothing but your oppression. Period. So
you're right about that.
People often ask me, what would be the ideal world? What would be the ideal world? The ideal world is simply this: the world in which you can operate and thrive in. Because right now, yes, black folks, minorities are surviving, but we're not exactly thriving in prosperity. We're just alive in spite of what these people try to do to ensure that we didn't make it to this earth. We're still alive in spite of all the hatred and animosity. Because let's not get it twisted, Chris. There are people out there. They don't care how smart you are. They don't care how much research you've done. They don't care how brilliant your mind is. They don't care about none of that. The only thing they care about is the melanin level in your skin, brother. And that's enough for them to either accept or kill you.
Yeah, you're right about that. Because you're a threat. That's why.
Right. You're not.
You're a threat.
Hold on. I wish I had a way. Someone was trying to call me, but I wish I had a way to shut off the phone while I'm doing these interviews. But now, could you just talk about some of the research that you enjoy, the topics you enjoy to research?
I mean, when I was a kid, you know how these the Encyclopedia Britannicas.
Oh yeah.
So that's what kind of got me started. A lot of what I would do was, when I first started as a kid, I would look into like war history. Like, I don't know, why do people go in the war? Why do these people fight? What do they fight for? And then that kind of led me to all the other stuff. But I like to do world history because as a black person, you have to research world history, and that helps you to better understand our history. Because all of this stuff runs together. All of these different countries, these people come from the same people. That's whether you believe in evolution or you believe in,
creation.
Adam and Eve.
Right. Yeah. Don't get me started on Adam and Eve. Once again, genetics. This is, because I use a mixture of spirituality and science. You almost got to be a fool Not
I think it's one of the same. I mean, I think it's kind of like, okay, I got this piece of the cookie, you got this piece of the cookie. I'm gonna
let's
sell
put
it
them
as this,
together.
sell it as that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the way to do it. Instead of having some dogmatic ideology that only one aspect of this thing is correct. Because we all know, genetically speaking, all right, if Adam and Eve were truly white, because when I was a child, I was going to church. I had to, every Sunday, my daddy was a preacher, whatnot. And it was always baffling. When you open up the Bible, you see Adam and Eve, they're white. You go to the church, the picture of Jesus, the stained glass depiction is white, right? And I kept on thinking, so then where the hell did we come from? Where did black folks come from? You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah, you're exactly right.
once you start asking those questions, those are very dangerous questions. Because then you start to see
Yeah,
where
but it,
Christianity was distorted, where it was turned into a propagandized mouthpiece of white supremacy. And the reason why I
I
use
can tell
those
you where that
words,
started.
where? Tell us.
I can tell you where that started. When you had the early Christians back in the Roman time, right after quote unquote Jesus died,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had Emperor Constantine. Emperor Constantine knew that they were practicing pagan religions at the time, but then like the overwhelming Roman population was starting to turn towards Christianity. And then when Constantine made himself a Christian, and a lot of times, like he did a lot of what these politicians do now, they use religion more so as a political move, as far it's not like a moral thing to them.
Right.
If I say this to these people, then I can get them to vote for me. You know what I'm saying? But when Constantine formulated himself into Christianity, then that's how you get the Catholic Church, because of the Rome Catholic Church.
Mm.
And I know you can go on and on about that. But
Mm.
then that's when they started to fuse a lot of this pagan stuff with the belief system.
Right.
And that's why you have all these rituals and stuff like that. That's where all that stuff comes from.
So, I hate to say this, Chris, but if we look at history, what we're living in now, right now, it's just another extension of the old Roman Empire, the so-called
Well, that's
Western
exactly what it
world.
is.
And let's get these terminologies right. When you hear white conservatives talk about Western culture, Western values, Western civilization, stop for 1 second, take out the word Western and insert the word white. Then it makes crystal clear what the hell they're really talking about. And that's another thing that always upsets me or gets my third eye, really looking around when you hear these code words. Like Nilly Fuller said, black folks, we need to get on code. Not on code as to where we want to hate other people. No, no, no. The reality is this fire's already been burning. All right. You go out as a black man and woman, you go run to a Asian guy for help, or a Mexican guy for help, or even a white guy for help. Don't be remiss when you get no help in the long term. You might get a little bump here and there, but why on earth would anybody in the right mind, the way this system's set up, why would they put their child at a disadvantage to give your child an equal standing? Why would they do that? Is that even good parenting?
Because,
And
well, no, that's like
what you say?
that goes back to that competition thing. You're like, okay, I might help you a little bit, but I'm not going to help you. It's kind of like if you look at kung fu, like
Yes.
the master and the pupil. If I'm the master, I'll teach you most of what I know, but I'm not going to teach you everything of what I know. So I teach you everything I know, then that's going to put us on equal ground, and you can possibly defeat me.
Right.
Same thing.
And then I won't even be the master no more. I'll be your slave if you defeat me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's common sense. See, I think we have been beaten down so bad psychologically that common sense is almost bad for us. There's so many of us that have willingly, basically, I guess, given up the dream, and they just double down. Sort of like the Uncle Rufus character on the Boondocks, all right?
Yeah.
Or Jesse Lee Peterson in real life. You know what I mean? It's like
you put
these guys
Derek
just,
Clark.
yeah, they just double down. They double down. It's really disgusting because of the fact that you, me, our families, people we come in contact with on the streets, these human beings should love themselves no matter what. You really should. There's really is no excuse for self-hate. There's no need, more importantly, for self-hate. I mean, other than the need for the people to control you who install
Because it's
those.
just destructive.
It's totally destructive. I mean, look at Brother Sammy Sosa. Now, sure, he may have some sort of skin issue like Michael Jackson reportedly had. Or
Yeah,
it could go back to what we said earlier. You actually get paid if you prop up white supremacy some way. If you go out, you could just, be on the talking point. Or you can go out and dye your hair blonde and put in the blue contacts and the whole 9 yards. You will actually get rewarded on those things. Versus, like, let's just put this in perspective for 1 second. All right. You have Lil' Kim or whatever, a female rapper. Put the blue eyes in and the blonde hair. She'll get more record sales. Then you'll have a woman like Rachel Denozan that tries to darken her skin and try to take the blonde hair away, and she dyes her hair dark or whatever. She gets ridiculed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, so it's okay for this chick to look like a white chick, but it's not okay for this white chick to look like a black chick. So it's like, there you go. That should let you know the fix is fucking in.
Yeah, that's a part of the thing. Keep everybody confused. You don't know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, then you won't believe the next.
Oh, uh-oh.
And everything.
Oh, that's messed up. Hold on. What the heck? This is, can you hear me, Chris?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. This phone was cutting in and out. I was like, oh, no. I mean, I know the NSA loves to monitor this guy, but come on, guys. Cut me some slack today. I'm not really saying nothing. Not giving away any state secrets. This is all common sense.
Would they say anybody's name today?
No, then no name drops. No name drops at all. Yeah. And, it's so funny that we actually, hello? Oh, really? Oh, so they cut me off any fucking way. These fucking bastards. Hold on. We're going to call Chris back and get him back on the horn. That is just, this is so typical. No response from the internet. What the hell? What the hell? Oh my God.